The calendar may have turned to 2025, but the brutal reality of war continues to grip Ukraine. Russia's advance has slowed to a crawl, each meter gained paid for in blood. Recent reports estimate that over 420,000 Russian soldiers have been killed or wounded in the conflict. This staggering figure represents a devastating toll on Russia's military capabilities. The human cost is only one facet of Russia's losses. The rate of territorial gain has dwindled significantly, particularly in December 2024. Analysts point to high daily casualty rates as a contributing factor. The Kremlin's dream of a swift victory has long since evaporated, replaced by the grim reality of a protracted and bloody conflict. The land Russia has managed to seize is of little strategic value. Vast stretches of captured territory consist of empty fields and insignificant settlements. This begs the question, at what cost are these meager gains achieved? The answer is a devastating loss of life and a steady erosion of Russia's military might. Beyond the human cost, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been marked by a series of strategic blunders. The initial objective of swiftly capturing Kyiv and toppling the Ukrainian government proved to be a disastrous miscalculation. Instead, Russian forces were met with fierce resistance and forced to retreat. Even the more modest goal of capturing the entirety of Donetsk Oblast has eluded Russia's grasp. Analysts estimate that at the current rate of advance, it would take Russia over 2 years to seize the remaining territory. This assumes, of course, that Ukrainian forces remain static and do not launch counter-offensives of their own. The strategic failures of the Russian military are undeniable. The inability to achieve key objectives, coupled with the immense losses sustained, paints a bleak picture of Russia's capabilities. The longer the war drags on, the more apparent it becomes that Russia has bitten off more than it can chew. The war in Ukraine has not only exposed the weaknesses of Russia's military, but also placed an immense strain on its economy. Despite Putin's claims of economic resilience, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Sanctions imposed by the West are biting, and the cost of sustaining the war effort is taking its toll. Inflation is soaring, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary Russians. Basic goods are becoming increasingly expensive, and the quality of life for many is deteriorating. The occupied territories, far from being assets, are turning into financial burdens. The Kremlin is being forced to divert resources to maintain control and rebuild destroyed infrastructure. Recent reports indicate that Russia is cutting enlistment bonuses for prisoners and providing inadequate training for new recruits. These desperate measures are a clear indication of the resource constraints facing the Russian military. The Kremlin's ability to sustain a long-term war effort is becoming increasingly doubtful. While Russia grapples with its own vulnerabilities, the Ukrainian people have displayed remarkable resilience and determination in the face of aggression. Despite being outgunned and outnumbered, Ukrainian forces have managed to stall the Russian advance in key areas and inflict heavy losses on the invaders. The Ukrainian military has demonstrated adaptability and tactical ingenuity, effectively utilizing Western-supplied weapons and developing innovative strategies of their own. The recent use of naval drones to down a Russian helicopter is a prime example of their resourcefulness. This incident sent shockwaves through the Russian military establishment, highlighting the vulnerability of their forces. But the Ukrainian resistance is far more than just a military campaign. It is a nationwide struggle, fueled by a deep-seated love for their country and a refusal to bow to foreign aggression. Civilians have taken up arms, formed territorial defense units, and provided crucial support to the armed forces. Their courage and determination have become a beacon of hope, not just for Ukraine, but for all who value freedom and self-determination. The unwavering support of Western allies has been instrumental in enabling Ukraine to resist the Russian invasion. The flow of military aid, including advanced weaponry, intelligence sharing, and training, has been crucial in bolstering Ukraine's defenses and allowing them to fight back effectively. The United States, in particular, has emerged as a steadfast partner, providing billions of dollars in military and humanitarian assistance. European nations have also stepped up, offering sanctuary to refugees, imposing crippling sanctions on Russia, and supplying Ukraine with vital military equipment. This united front has sent a clear message to the Kremlin. The world will not stand idly by while a sovereign nation is attacked. The continued flow of Western aid is a lifeline for Ukraine, providing them with the means to defend themselves and ultimately force Russia to the negotiating table. Section 6. A narrative unraveling. Putin's propaganda versus the grim reality. While the situation on the ground in Ukraine deteriorates for Russia, Vladimir Putin continues to peddle a distorted narrative to the Russian people. His propaganda machine churns out stories of heroic victories, valiant soldiers, and a righteous struggle against Nazism in Ukraine. The reality, however, could not be more different. The truth is that Russia's military is bogged down in a costly and unwinnable war. The casualty figures are staggering, and the economic consequences are being felt by ordinary Russians. The promised swift victory has turned into a quagmire, and the Kremlin's attempt to mask this reality is becoming increasingly untenable. The disconnect between Putin's narrative and the actual situation on the ground is growing wider by the day. As more body bags return home and the economic situation worsens, the Russian people will find it increasingly difficult to ignore the truth about the war in Ukraine. Section 7. The Year of Delusion. A desperate attempt to rally a nation. In a desperate attempt to bolster flagging support for his war effort, Putin has declared 2025 the year of the defender of the fatherland. This move, while presented as a patriotic gesture, is widely seen as an attempt to further militarize Russian society and deflect attention from the failures in Ukraine. The focus on supporting veterans and promoting military service is likely a response to growing domestic concerns about the war. The high casualty figures, economic hardship, and lack of progress in Ukraine are taking their toll on public opinion. Putin's declaration is a clear sign that he recognizes the growing unease among the Russian people. However, it remains to be seen whether this cynical ploy will succeed in silencing the growing chorus of dissent. As the true cost of Putin's war becomes increasingly apparent, the Kremlin's grip on the narrative may begin to slip. Section 8. The tide turns Russia's increasingly precarious position. The combination of factors outlined above paints a bleak picture of Russia's position in Ukraine. The high casualties, strategic blunders, economic strain, and unwavering Ukrainian resistance all point to one inescapable conclusion. Russia is losing this war. The longer the conflict drags on, the more precarious Russia's position becomes. The economic sanctions imposed by the West are steadily strangling the Russian economy, limiting its ability to sustain a long-term war effort. The morale of Russian troops is reportedly low, worn down by fierce resistance and the realization that they are fighting a pointless war. Meanwhile, Ukraine shows no signs of giving up. Their determination to defend their homeland remains unyielding, bolstered by the unwavering support of their Western allies. The tide of this war is turning, and Russia finds itself increasingly isolated and vulnerable. Section 9. Towards a potential defeat. The factors pointing to a Russian loss. While predicting the future course of any war is a complex endeavor, the writing is on the wall for Russia's ambitions in Ukraine. The multitude of challenges facing the Russian military, coupled with the strength of the Ukrainian resistance and the unwavering support of the West, all point towards a potential Russian defeat. The Kremlin's gamble in Ukraine has backfired spectacularly. Instead of achieving a swift victory and cementing Russia's status as a global power, Putin has plunged his country into a costly and unwinnable war. The consequences of this miscalculation will be felt for years to come, both domestically and internationally. The world is witnessing a pivotal moment in history. The outcome of this conflict will have far-reaching implications for the future of Europe and the international order. As the war in Ukraine enters its third year, one thing is clear. The forces are aligned against Russia, and the path to victory for Ukraine, while long and arduous, is becoming increasingly attainable. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe. A comment would be highly appreciated. It helps to figure out what kind of content you like and want to see in the future. I try to be factual. If you do not like it or think I am wrong, well, dislike and leave a comment too. No hard feelings about that. People can and should disagree in a civil manner. Got a different view? I'm fine with that. So whether you agree or not, I wish you a great day. Maybe I see you again on my next video. And again, thank you for watching.